G'day everyone, Daniel Anderson here, and today we're going to take a look at how we can leverage approval templates inside of the Approvals app of Microsoft Teams. Now, we have previously looked at how we can use the Approvals app just for basic approvals, and also how we can take that a bit of a step further and use digital signatures as part of the process using Adobe Sign. But there's a new feature rolling out, if not already, to your tenants where you've got the ability to create approval templates and manage those in there, and make them available for everybody to use at an org level, individual people to use, or also at the team level as well. So we're going to dive in and have a look at how we can manage those, create them, and have a look at the experience. So we can see here, I'm in Microsoft Teams. I'm logged in as Megan, who is a Teams administrator, and I'm in the Approvals app. And the view here that you can see here are the approvals that I have already sent. Now, you can see I've got the button to create a new approval request, but you'll see three little dots on the right-hand side here, which gives me more options, and I can jump into Manage Templates. And when I jump into Manage Templates, I've got the ability to be able to create some templates here. You see I've already got one pre-done for use here around purchase orders. And I've got a drop down here where I've got org wide, I've got teams as well. And if there's any templates that have been created inside of Teams, then I can navigate and filter those out as well. Now, let's go through the process of actually creating a new template. And when I click on new template, you can see there's a lot of different templates already there pre-populated for us, ranging from discount applications to business cards to leave requests to reimbursement. So there's a number of different templates already there for us that we can choose from, or we can actually create one from scratch. Okay, now if I go to, and what we're just going to do here is we're going to create a leave request. All right, so very, very common thing to get approved. And we can see here, because I'm a Teams administrator, I've got the ability to create this for the entire organization, for specific people, or for specific teams as well. So for this particular one, I'm going to create this as an org-wide template. So this will make this available to everybody in my company. So I'll click org-wide. Now, one thing to note here is that when you first create an org-wide template, it is actually going to create a Microsoft team for this for storage of these forms, because as we're going to see in a minute, we are leveraging Microsoft Forms. So the form that gets created is actually going to be part of that group or part of that team. So we can see here we've got the basic settings. We've got the different category of where this approval template should be categorized in. We can give it a description, and we'll click next. We've now entered into the form design, and you can see this is fairly familiar. It's leveraging Microsoft Forms. So we've got the options here to edit from the pre-existing template. We can move things up or down. We can even add new fields here. But one thing to note here, unlike Microsoft Forms, we've only got three options. So we've got choice, we've got text, and we've got date. All right, so we can add additional fields if we need to. We can even change these. We might change this to comments. We can make this a long answer. We can add some restrictions as you can do within Microsoft Forms as well. We'll leave that as it is. We'll click next. And here we're entering into the workflow settings section here. So here I can say, right, we need, let's use a file attachment, and it is required. Probably a good thing to do for a leave request. If there's a doctor certificate or a medical certificate, we could use that. Now here we've got the approvers. Now the default is let the requester enter somebody to approve this request. But what we're going to do here is we can specify approvers here. So I want every leave request to actually be sent to Alex. All right, so we'll search for Alex and we'll enter that there. So that means that it takes that away from the requester. It's always now going to be sent to Alex. We can also choose from custom responses. So if we want the different responses different to approve or reject, then we can also enter our custom responses. Now I'm just going to click preview. We'll get a preview of this form here. This is going to be how it looks, and we will now hit publish. All right, so now that has been published to the entire organization, it's going to be made available for them to be able to use. Now, how do they go about using this? Well, in the approvals app itself, what we can do, and I'm just going to get out of the template section here. In the approvals app, we've obviously got this button here where we can click on new approval. You can see the default there, the first tab is just the basic approval. But we've now got a templates tab here too, which is going to list out all the templates that I as a user have got access to. And you can see here that I've got a template from Org-Wide. I've got two Org-Wide templates here, a leave request and a purchase order. So if I go to the leave request here as Megan, I'm just going to put in annual leave. I've got the approver here. So remembering that I selected Alex as the person that needs to approve these. If it was set to let the requester choose, then I could then put in an approver. I can choose the leave type. I'll choose a start date and an end date, and I can add some comments if I want to. I'm now going to click send. That's going to now send an approval request to Alex. Then Alex can take action on that. So let's now flick across to Alex, and we'll see what happens at Alex's end. What will happen in a second? You can see the toast notification popped up, and I've got an item in the activity feed here that notifies me that Megan has just sent me a request. All right. The request will pop up here. I can view all the details. I can see where the status of it is. You can see that it's the leave request, start and end dates, and I can actually just click approve right there. So that's now been approved. Now, if I now jump back to Megan, let's have a look and see what happens. I've got a notification here in the activity feed. The final status has now been approved. Okay, and the whole process has been done. All right. Now that's at an organizational level. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flick across to Alex again, and Alex isn't a Teams administrator, right? So I don't get the ability to create org-wide templates because of that permission level, but Alex is an owner of a team. So Alex does have the ability here to manage templates, but what we'll see here, I've only got a drop-down list of the team that Alex owns. I can only create a new template within that team. All right. So if I go new template, I've still got the available templates that I can choose from. So what we might want to do is create an overtime approval form here for this Mark 9 project team. So I'll go through this process again, similar to what we saw before. We've got the title, the category. Let's go overtime request. We'll go next. We've got the ability to design the form, change the fields if we need to, add new ones if we need to. Click next. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the approvers section here to allow the requester to fill this in. All right. So now what we're going to do here, let's have some custom responses. And we'll preview this now, and you can see I'll get a preview and I'll publish this off. So you can see here, that's going to now publish that. So any member of the Mark 9 project team now has the ability to use this overtime request template. So if I now, as Alex, jump into Teams, I'll jump down to the Mark 9 project team. We'll click General. Okay, you can see there that I've got, I'm a member of this team, or I'm the owner of this team. I can click on approvals. All right, I can click on new approval request. I've got templates here. And what we'll see here is I will now have available to me, because I'm a member of that team, that template to request or get my overtime approved. So let's now jump across to Megan, because Megan also is a member of that Mark 9 project team. So when she now clicks on new approval request and clicks on templates, what's going to appear here is that template that I have just created for that team. You can see that I've got the org-wide templates here, but you can see also now I've got a drop down for Mark 9 project team, and I can now submit this overtime request. I can set the approver. So let's set Alex as the approver for this overtime request. We'll go start date was today, end date was today. We'll go 1 hour. And we will now send that across. We'll just give it a title, 1 hour overtime, and we'll send that across. We'll flick back over to Alex. Alex will then get this approval request in his activity feed in just a second, once that gets sent across, and he can then action that request. Here it comes in here, activity feed. Here's the request. I can accept, or I can approve or reject it. Now, given that we had those custom responses, here's the buttons here, yes and no. I might actually go no to this one, and we'll flick back to Megan. Megan will get this response. You can see it's been requested. Once that processes and that request has been processed, then that's going to change. The final status is no. I'll jump back into activity. We can see here that here's the approval and the final status that's come through there, and that has been declined. We'll jump back into the approvals app, and we can now see that if I jump into sent, these are the approvals that I've sent. You can see that this has been set to no. All right. So the templates themselves are a really good way for organizations or teams to be able to create these templates that can be shared across not only the organization, but also teams as well. Now, where are these forms stored? Well, if I jump into Microsoft Forms here, because we're leveraging the Forms platform, they're actually stored inside of the Forms application, right? So here, let me just refresh this here, and I'll just jump back out onto Group Forms. We can see here that we've got a total of 3 forms here that are part or associated to the Approvals app admin team. Now, remembering before that when we create an organizational approvals process, that creates a team called the Approvals app admin team. And you can see here there's a total of 3 forms that have been associated to that group or that team. And when I click that form, you can see that here is the form. It's in read-only mode. All right, so it can only be edited inside of the Approvals app itself. I can see that I've got the responses here. You can see there's 1 response for this leave request, but the form itself is actually living and associated to that admin team. All right, so that's the reason. One of the reasons why when you first create an org-wide template, that will then create that team so that these forms and these approval processes can be associated to that team. Now, another really good thing that we can do with the approvals application itself that you may not have seen or may not know about yet is that we can add the actual approvals app to a chat or to a team itself as well. So if we let's have a look. I'm going to search for approvals, and I'm going to open the approvals app here. What we can also do is, you can see here, I can add the approvals app to a team or to a chat or to a meeting. All right. So let's just have a look at what this looks like and what the functionality is here if I add this to a team. So let's go add to team, and let's search for a team. We might go Mark 8 project team, and we'll set up the bot in that team. So that's being set up now. You can see that it's been added to the team. All right, I'm in the go-to-market channel of the Mark 8 project team. I might just jump into the general channel. We can then maybe start a new conversation. We might now hit the approvals app. So if we go @mention approvals, we'll hit that. We can create an approval directly from within here. And you can see that I also now have the ability or the option to use the templates, but these are team templates. All right, so you can see there's no templates available for this particular team. But remembering that we added an approval process, an overtime approval process to the Mark 9 project team. So what we might do now is let's flick over to Alex, who's the owner of that team. We'll jump into Teams. We'll jump into the Approvals app. So I'll just open up Apps. I'll open up Approvals. We'll jump in here. We're going to add this to a team, and we're going to search for the Mark 9 project team this time, and we'll choose this one and the general channel. We'll set up the bot there. We're taken to that straight away. And you can see here that I can now go @mention approvals. I'm going to create an approval. And now when I click on templates, what we'll see here is that template appear for that particular team. I can process that request, or I can fill out this approval request for overtime because it's part of that team. So not only can we do it from the Approvals app, we can actually add that to an individual team. Now, you saw also that we can add that to a chat. So if I jump back into the approvals, I can click on add to chat. I can now also search for a chat that I'm having. So I'm having a chat with Megan. We'll set up the bot inside that chat. I can now go to create an approval directly from within that chat. And now I've got the org-wide settings here where the org-wide template that I've got access to. You'll notice that there's no ability for me to access the team one, but I can do an org-wide one from the chat. So I can click on purchase order and I can then organize or go through that process there. All right, so not only can we use the approvals app, so the personal app inside of Teams, we can add the approvals to a team, or we can add the approvals app directly to a chat as well. All right, so there's a lot of functionality there for an organization when we're talking about the templates and creating some templates and workflow processes and approval processes inside of Teams by utilizing the templates functionality here inside of the Approvals app. Okay, we've seen how we can now use the templates or manage templates or create templates inside of the Approvals app. Now, what about if we want to go back and edit these templates or even disable them and make them not available anymore? So what we can see, again, I'm in the Approvals app. I'm logged in as Megan. We can jump into Manage Templates and you can see all the templates that I have got access to and the ability for me to manage. You can see I've got two org-wide templates, a leave one and a purchase order one. Now, if I look at the drop-down list here, I can also filter through any other templates that I might want to edit here too. So let's just say we want to edit this leave request template. So we can see it's enabled when it was last updated. I click the three little dots, I can click edit. I'm taken back into the editing experience here of the templates, and I can make my changes as I need to. So I might want to add a field, I might want to edit a field or something like that. So what we can see here, we jump into form design. Let's just say we might want to change this. Let's go additional comments. We can change this. We might want to make that required. And you can see here, it's going to be auto saved. We might want to add a new one. Let's go to days. Let's maybe go days off. Let's go number of days off. Number of days off. and we can maybe put some restrictions on this. All right, so let's go restrictions. It must be a number, and we'll leave that. We'll save it. And now what's going to happen, we'll get a preview. We can see my changes here, and we can save that. And that's now available for everybody to use. So we've just edited that form. Or we might want to disable it. All right, so we might want to have a form or have a template up for a period of time. We can come back and then we can just disable it. So we'll see here in purchase order, let's disable this form now. We've got a pop-up, we'll go disable, and now people won't be able to access or use that approval process or that approval template when they go into to start an approval. So there we go. We can, after we have created it, we can edit them and we can disable them and also re-enable them if we need to as well. Okay, let's now create an approval template from scratch. We've already seen how we can create it from a pre-existing template that is provided by Microsoft, but let's now create one from scratch. So let's go new template. We can see here that I've got all the pre-existing templates that come with the template management part of the approvals app. But you'll see here that I've got a create from scratch button. So when I click on create from scratch, because again, I'm a Teams admin, I've got the ability here to go org-wide, specific people, or team-wide. Now, I might want to create an approval process for my team. All right, so let's click team-wide. And you can see that I've got the teams that I am an owner of that I can now create this for. So let's now go for, let's go retail. All right, so we'll choose the retail team. We'll go done. I can now create my template. Let's go time off. We'll keep it and we'll put it under attendance, the category. We'll click next. And now I can start to design my form. All right, so let's add a new one. Let's go for choice. We'll go for a couple of different choices here. Let's go for reason. Doctor. We want some time off for family. We want some time off for maybe exercise. And we'll just leave it at that. We'll go add new. We'll go add a date. When do you want time off? And we'll go select date. We'll set that as required. And that'll do. So let's just keep it nice and simple. As we can see, we've only got the three options here. We've got choice, text, and date. Now we'll click on next. We might want to have a file attachment as a required field. We won't in this case. We will specify an approver. So let's specify Alex. And we might also specify maybe, let's go Nesta. And do we want every single person in this list of approvers to respond? We'll set that to yes. So that what that's going to mean is that Alex and Nesta will need to approve this for the whole process to be approved. Let's put in a custom response. Go for it. Not a chance. And let's give that a preview. There's the time off request. We've got Alex and Nesta as the approvers. We've got the reason. We've got the dates. And we'll publish that. So we'll now make that available. So now any member of that team, of that retail team, will have access to that approval process and that approval form. So if we now jump back, we'll close this off. We will click on new approval request. Under templates, what we'll see now is that new template that we've got available. We've got the org-wide template filtered by default. We've got the Mark 9 project team, which they've got an overtime request. And we've also now got an approval process or an approval template for time off for the retail team. So we click time off and we can then begin that process of requesting time off. All right, and only members of that team will have access to that process. So if somebody else logs in and clicks on new approval request, clicks on template, and they're not a member of that team, then they just won't see it. So there we have it. We can create approval templates for our team from scratch, in addition to the templates that are already there from Microsoft. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hope that brought you some value.